Hi, this is Mark from the Center for Math and Teaching. For those of you who joined us on any of our previous intervention webinars, well, times have changed and so has our message, but just a bit. So welcome back. If you don't know us or our work, we're happy to meet you. We're a nonprofit and we develop middle school mathematics curriculum and resources, and we support teachers in using them through professional development. We worked together in the math department at UCLA for about a decade, and then about 14 years ago, we left the university to form CMAT. We'll start with an intervention overview and some general information about intervention and some ideas to consider, which are appropriate at most any grade level. We'll share a bit of the research and some practical examples. Then, we hope you'll stick with us as we explain a few of the features of our MathLinks Essentials materials. Hopefully, you'll see how they fit nicely into an intervention plan to address the essential concepts students need for success moving forward. As longtime mathematics educators, we know you're expected to teach certain content at every grade level. Even though we think the worst of the pandemic is behind us, we frequently hear from teachers across the country that even though students bring wonderful knowledge and experiences with them to the classroom, too many have holes in places where other learning used to happen. So, what can we do to mitigate this situation and get our students back on track? We hope you stay tuned as we answer this question. Whether you think of it as accelerating learning, working on unfinished learning, or simply catching students up, the fact is you need a systematic plan. We recommend that you concentrate on the major work of current and previous grades. The payoff is that more of your students will feel success at grade level work, and they'll have more confidence moving forward. Here is most of the major work of grade 6. For backfill, consider doing substantial work with important 5th grade number concepts that lead into 6th grade number and ratio concepts. We found that a lot of special education teachers find that focusing on these 5th and 6th grade topics are helpful too for their 6th graders. If front-loading current grade material is desired, mix in a little beginning algebra, which feels very new to 6th graders. Here is most of the major work of grade 7. Backfill 6th grade ratio and number concepts to lead right into 7th grade proportional relationships and operations on signed numbers. The 6th grade algebra work will bolster 7th grade algebra success. Grade 7 special education teachers find this 6th and 7th grade content useful too. And front load some of that 7th grade content if time permits. Here is most of the major work of grade 8. Backfill 7th grade proportional reasoning and algebra topics that lead directly into 8th grade work with linear functions, equations, and systems. And typically, students need continued review or reteaching of operating on signed numbers as they head into grade 8. For a summer plan, you'll have limited time, so choose the topics that will give you the most bang for your buck from moving to the next school year. Most folks pick number topics, and with good reason, but use your data and your experience to make these decisions. Remember, you can't do it all in a short summer session. Since we're talking about summer, here's a success story highlighting a good choice. A medium-sized district in Los Angeles used our intervention fraction module for a summer catch-up program with incoming 6th graders. The box plots on the left show some really nice fraction growth over the summer. These students took a summative assessment at the end of 5th grade, and a decision was made to give them another shot at it at the end of summer. Remember, this was on all of the 5th grade math content, not just fractions. Interestingly, those scores increased too, as the box plots on the right indicate. In other words, There was growth with topics that weren't even addressed that summer. The teachers attribute this unanticipated outcome to a more positive student disposition toward mathematics after having done MathLinks work. While I definitely agree, I worked with these teachers personally, and I can tell you for sure that their positive disposition contributed in a big way to this success too. If this is making sense to you, we encourage you to analyze how the resources you already have are going to be helpful. Can you easily identify the major work of a grade? Do you know what topics to choose? Is the content pitched appropriately to your students' academic needs? What parts of your resources are going to do the job? Are they going to do a rehash in the same old way that didn't work before? Do they include needed review that feeds into the major work of the grade? If you're thinking that your resources aren't quite hitting the mark, we're glad you're here, and we've got good news for you. We wrote MathLinks Essentials to support you and your students. Let's spend just a little time on the specifics of how our MathLinks Essentials is a great fit for catching students up. MathLinks Essentials contains major work for grade level content in 5th through 8th, so it's appropriate for the purpose of catching students up in grades 6 through 9. It's not intended to be comprehensive. It is intended to address the essential content we want for catching up. Here are some of the ways to use MathLinks Essentials. MathLinks Essentials makes your intervention classes more productive and provides structure for both teachers and students. Everything you need is right there. MathLinks Essentials is popular for summer programs. All you need to do is just choose the most needed topics to review. And MathLinks Essentials is also popular as a supplement for special education classes. Research and experience has guided our work, and we know that districts have had success using our materials. Let's spend a little time looking at a concrete example from our integers module, a topic that teachers tell us all the time where their students need support. We grab students' attention with a little story about magic hot and cold cubes. Basically, putting hots in a liquid makes the liquid hotter, and putting in colds makes it colder. Guess what removing hots does? That's right, it gets colder. And removing colds? Yep, it gets hotter. We've just set our students up for adding and subtracting positives and negatives. It's intuitive and makes a ton of sense to them. They do a little work with this idea and then move on. Later, we introduce a manipulative, in this case, positive and negative counters for students to get their hands on. After demonstrating a process for adding, students use the model to generate some empirical evidence and start to generate the rules. It's so much more powerful when they generate the rules instead of you just telling them to memorize rules. Now that addition concepts are fully developed, it's time for practice. And the sequence is pretty similar moving forward for the other operations on integers. You can constantly provide the support and feedback that your struggling learners need in class. You can give them extra problems to do. We provide plenty. There could be small journal quick writes, and you can give them low-stakes quizzes. We provide those too. We hear from teachers all the time that they want to be supported in the classroom. Here's an example of some teacher support. You saw some slides from the integer lesson examples. You can see thumbnails here of the slides along with some lesson notes that support the delivery of that lesson. And here's an answer key example. So we like to provide everything a teacher needs to implement the lessons. And though we've had years of experience, we also consulted the research. Here are some of the main takeaways we kept reading in the literature, so we made sure to incorporate them. Let me try to explain a little more clearly. We're not suggesting to test our intervention students a lot, but they really need more frequent feedback and guidance than students who have had more success. We don't recommend peppering students with a bunch of strategies, but sometimes offering more than one and then helping them pick the one they like is really beneficial. Think about the hot and cold cubes and the positive and negative counters. Even though they work really well together, students don't necessarily need to know both. The right amount of practice could be different from student to student. But teachers know their students best, so we offer options with practice pages and extra problem sets. And remember, when students are practicing, make sure they have a good shot at getting the problems right. We know what happens when we practice something wrong over and over. It's really hard to undo that. With the integers example, we tried to show you how we start with concepts, make them reasonable, and guide the students to the rules and procedures. It's important for all learners to get that kind of instruction, but it's especially important for struggling learners. Since memorization may not be their strong suit, they crave meaning and connections for things to make sense. And of course, teachers need support. We gave you some evidence of how important that is to us, to provide materials that are complete and easy to use and all right there in one place for you. And by the way, here's just some of the research we focused on before creating MathLinks Essentials. And while research is extremely important, all of your collective experience as an educator should be taken into consideration too. Let's look at MathLinks Essentials a little closer. Here you see 3 student packets that make up one module: a teacher edition, and the online teacher portal with a lot of extra components. Since there usually aren't quick fixes to difficult and complex problems, remember, you can let us make things easier for you. You'll see that you don't have to find resources or even create lessons because it's all right there for you. Just review what we already laid out, and you can teach essential concepts efficiently and with fidelity so that your students make the progress they need. MathLinks Essentials consists of these 6 modules. Each module has 3 consumable student packets. A digital version is available too. Packets from modules can be flexibly combined so you create the plan that your students need to catch up. And with just a few packets, you can teach the major work of the grade and review work that students may have missed to help them get back on track. Notice that most modules span 2 or 3 grade levels, and some packets may even span 2 grade levels. The Numbers and Base 10 module addresses some grades 4, 5, and 6 whole number and decimal concepts and operations. And the Fraction module addresses some grades 3, 4, 5, and 6 fraction concepts and operations. We refer to these packets as foundational work because much of it consists of important elementary topics, which we address in a more grade level appropriate way for middle schoolers. The proportional reasoning, integers, expressions and equations, and functions modules address much of the major work of middle school. The time required to complete a full packet varies. You can expect to take about 10 to 15 class hours on any one of them on average. So we've identified the major work of the grade levels for you and the essential review if that's needed, and we've provided great ways to deliver the instruction that's accessible to a wide range of learners. Let me reemphasize that these packets can all be ordered a la carte, so you choose exactly what you need for your student's success. If you'd like to check out the program, just go to our website and look under Curriculum. Click on Essentials and Overview to get a quick glimpse of some checklists and problem sets that give you a feel for the content of the packets. Or click on Student Packets to preview any of the student packets in full. Additionally, if you'd like some support, whether using MathLinks or for other purposes, please look at our professional development options. When you look through student packets, you'll see these consistent features. You'll notice the structured workspace. It's welcoming and not overwhelming. And when students finish a packet, they feel a sense of success. Each packet has an opening problem to motivate thinking. 3 multi-hour lessons to get at concept development and skills practice. Engaging review activities near the end of the packet, many of which can be done collaboratively. A page at the beginning to record important vocabulary, and then another one near the end to review the vocabulary. And student resources at the very end that include precise definitions and a variety of examples. The teacher edition is consistent as well with these features. For a closer look at components of interest, like slide decks and teaching notes that assist with lesson delivery, those are housed on our secure teacher portal. If you'd like temporary access to our portal, let's talk. If you'd like to learn more about our newly launched core courses for grades 6 through 8, take a look at our website, and you can even try out a unit in a pilot. You can always check out our public website, which you can see right here. And for a more personalized conversation, please contact me directly at this email address. Thanks so much for spending time with us today.